Hello and welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. Today I'm going to be talking about Hard Man by Philip Ketchum. It's a Western I got a while back. I did a video called a Yee Haul where I got some Western books from eBay that were just kind of a random lot of vintage paperbacks because I like vintage paperbacks. And I had no idea what I was going to get. I got, I think, 6 or 7 books. This was one of them. I love the tagline at the top. My name's Reimer, the big man said, and the town of Rifle Pass went for its guns. I just thought that was fantastic. So I picked it as the first one to read out of those books simply based on that. And it's got a nice pulpy cover. And I didn't have any idea what to expect. I mean, it could have been an awful book. I had no idea, but I just started reading it and I got into it very quickly. And it turned out it's an awesome book. I'm very happy to have this. It was worth the whole lot just for this one, even if none of the other ones are any good. This book is great. I want to read you a selection from near the beginning. Ben leaned against the post holding up the awning. He tried to smile, but it didn't come out well. Inside, he had tightened up. Yep, I came here to ask questions, and he tried to keep his voice steady. I thought you might have recognized me. My name's Ben Reimer. If he had stepped forward and slapped Kiernan in the face, he couldn't have surprised him more. He stepped back, and the sound of his gasp was clearly audible. His mouth had dropped open. A shocked look was in his eyes. And maybe fear was there too. His cheeks had paled. After an instant, his lips started working, but he wasn't able to speak. Ben waited for the man to recover. He took a glance at Kit. That was the man's daughter. She too had reacted to his name, but in a different way. She had stiffened, her hands had clenched, and she was breathing faster. Her expression had changed too. The half smile was gone. In place of it was the unfriendly stare he had seen on her face long ago. But more than that, in her eyes was a blazing hate. He looked again at Kiernan. What's the matter? The man took another step backward. His lips moved again, stuttering. Uncertain words followed. I've got things to do. I've got to. He whirled around and started to the door, stumbling, almost running. Ben watched him disappear and still stared at the door. He hadn't expected anything like this. He hadn't expected to be welcomed, but neither had he thought he would run into anyone who would get shaky at the sound of his name. What did it mean? And what was Kiernan afraid of? He was struggling to understand it when Kit spoke, her voice harsh. What are you after, Ben? Didn't you and your family hurt us enough in the past? He turned to her, puzzled. How could she have been hurt? How could she even remember the old days? It was 10 years since his father had been killed. He had been 12. She had been younger than that. It was curious, and she could recall what had happened. She spoke again. Why have you come back? He stirred, straightened, and said, Kit, what I said to your father was the truth. I came only to ask questions. And that's all? Yes, that's all. And that's what Ben Reimer did come. 10 years ago, his father, Matt Reimer, had been essentially lynched by a town committee. They claimed there was a legitimate trial, but there wasn't. And it was all these townspeople, and the town is still made up 10 years later of basically those same people because it was a town that was brought up when there was some gold speculation there, and then when the gold didn't pan out, uh, most of the people left, so it was only the ones that had a stake in the town that stayed. So he came back, so Ben Reimer came back to this town because he really wanted to know the truth about his father, because his mother, they left whenever his father was hanged. And his mother had always told him things about his father, and she had said that he was a little different towards the end of his life. Perhaps the hard man of the story, or is it his son, or is it the father, or is it both? That's one of the things that you find answered throughout the book. And he comes back to this town to ask questions about his father because he really wants to know what the man was like. And I mean, he's ready for, if he finds out that he was a bad man, he's willing to accept that. He uh, he hopes that isn't the case, but he knows that there's some unanswered questions, and that the only people that can answer them are the people of this town of Rifle Pass. The tagline on it, "and the town of Rifle Pass wants for its guns," is almost literally what happens in here. Immediately, one of the town leaders that you kind of get immediately as kind of a bad guy, and his hired guns show up and start dogging Ben Reimer on everything he does, everywhere he goes. They're telling him he needs to get out of town. And Ben Reimer just doesn't understand why there's such a violent reaction to him and his name, of why these people want him going. Now, not only is it a Western, but right from the get-go, it's a mystery story. Something that you don't necessarily see together with a Western, but it's a mystery throughout the whole book. And the mystery is, what was his father really like? Why did his father do the things? He killed a couple of people. He fought off a town marshal and killed him. And these are things that Ben Reimer knows, but he doesn't know why. And he really wants to know why. Well, he gets nothing but, stuttering "I've got to goes," and, "you need to leave town," and stuff like that from all the people. And that's all he's getting from it. And then he talks to one or two people who actually liked his father, and he gets a little bit of a different picture of his father then. Some of it's still the same, but he gets a little bit different stories. Then he finds out from other people, and he keeps going on to other people who lead him to more people, and he finds out essentially the truth about his father and whether he deserved to be hanged or not. And how he reacts to the answer is really unique, I think, for a Western, because he sticks to his guns and says he's here to ask questions, and that's what he's there for. And he pretty much holds to that, but he is forced into action eventually. But you don't know he didn't come in as some kind of gunman or anything, so you don't really know how handy he is with a gun, and you don't know about these other people. And of course, there's all these people who are violently wanting him out of town right away. And it just is a solidly written book. It really pulls you in right from the first page. You've got a mystery. The mystery goes throughout the end, and when the book ends is when the mystery's solved and there's a resolution. There's two female characters, Kit and Jean, and they figure into the story in an interesting way. I won't say much because I don't want to give anything away. I mean, it's not a secret or anything, but they're pretty strong characters for female characters in a book, because a lot of times the female characters get overlooked, but they were pretty well thought out in this. And some of the other characters were kind of your stock Western characters, but they all had a little something to make them interesting. And Ben Reimer was a very interesting protagonist, and he just is a man who wants to know what happened to his father. Because, I mean, he knows what happened to him, but he wants to know why. Because he has memories of his father being a good man and a good father, and he's trying to reconcile that with what really happened. So you do get a satisfying conclusion to the mystery, and it unfolds as the story goes along. So it's a really good mystery novel too. So if you like mystery novels and are looking maybe to go over into some westerns, this would be a really good one. Like I said, I bought it secondhand off eBay. I doubt it. I can't find that it's in print anywhere today. I'm not sure when it was. It was 1959, so it's been a while since this was written. But I thought it was excellent, and it made me look up Philip Ketchum, and I found a couple of his other books that I've ordered that I am looking forward to reading because he was a really good author. Wrote a really interesting mystery and western, and just a really solidly entertaining book throughout. And not everything happens as you expected. It doesn't go as typical westerns go, as you'd think they necessarily play out. He really he sticks to his guns in that he's not sticking to his guns, if that makes any sense, because he's a good guy too, and he gets into trouble very quickly in this, and you just have to see how it plays out and how he gets out of it. But anyway, really solid book. I really enjoyed it. I can't recommend it enough. If you like westerns and or mysteries, definitely worth a read. And if I'm not careful, this month is going to turn into another month on the range because this is 2 westerns in a row I've done, and I'm eager to read more. So I don't know if next week will be a western or not, but I'll try to mix it up a little bit. But I've really enjoyed the westerns that I've read lately, and I think you would enjoy them too. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys next week.